Hi, everybody. Cheryl and Lady coming to you from the Ladies Garden and Home. And today we're going to be talking about garden planning, specifically how to create the layout of the plots. And to do this, I'm going to be using my favorite garden planning software from the Farmer's Almanac called the Garden Planner. And mostly I'm going to be using the free version. So I hope you join us. This video is the third in a series that I'm putting together this January on garden planning. And I will link at the end of this video the playlist if you want to catch the other two if you haven't seen them yet. But basically, the first one was taking a look back at the 2023 garden. And then the second one was setting goals and strategies for 2024. This one is a little bit more practical, this video. I'm going to show you how I'm laying out my garden, and I'm also going to show you the software that I've been using now for the last 4 years. Now, this is a paid for subscription that I have. I think it's roughly $30 a year, and I think that it's well worth that price, quite honestly, for how organized it keeps me and how easy it makes things for me. But there is a trial period version that you could do quite a bit of what I'm going to show you for free, and then print it out and have your layout and your list of plants. So let's get started. And now I would like to share with you what I've been working on probably since right after the first of the year. And that's my 2024 garden, at least what I've got down so far. And before I go any further, I want to explain that it's really important when you're planning out where you're going to put things in your garden to know your sun, know the direction that it rises and sets, know where the south is and the north. And I'll tell you why that's important, because when you're planning where you're going to plant your plants, you're going to want your taller plants, like, for example, these green beans. Put them in the back, the furthest away from your southern exposure, and you want your shorter plants, like these peppers and then maybe some carrots, towards the front, so that taller plants don't block out the sun from shorter plants. That makes sense. You also need to know your shade. And at this time of the year, where I have the gray here is pretty much 100% shade all day long. Whereas by the summer, it's about that much. Also, I only have one tree. It's that big pine tree in the corner here. But throughout the day, although it's pretty much sunny for most of the garden, about that much gets shaded for a few hours in the middle of the day. So, which actually gives me a nice break, because I can come out here and not be scorched by the very strong summer sun. So because of the way the sun comes up over the garden, the sun kind of goes like this. In the morning, we've got a lot of sun on this side of the garden. And then as the day progresses, the sun goes kind of like that. So in the evening, this east side is extremely sunny because that's where the sun is beating down on it. So it's important to know how many hours of sunlight you have and the way the sun moves, because especially when you're talking about summer vegetable crops, most of them need at least 6 to 8 hours of sun a day. And it's also important to note because, for example, I wouldn't want to plant anything in this area here that doesn't get any sun throughout the day, even in the summer. These have to be extremely shade-loving plants. That's why I plant begonias here and impatiens along this row, because they love the shade. And on the deck area here, that is 100% sun pretty much from sunrise to sunset, which means that anything that I try to grow on the deck has to really be able to tolerate all of that sun. So partial shade plants don't do well up here. This is all months. This is so far everything that I have thought of that I would like to plant and where I'd like to position them. But I thought I'd take you through the year. So let's begin with winter. So here's January, and this is what I have overwintering in the garden presently. I've got the strawberry cart, I've got Archie the artichoke, I have some greens in the green stalk. The hibiscus is actually inside the house. And under cover, I have things like carrots, I have broccoli rabe, all of the celery is under cover. This area I don't have under cover, but they're very hardy perennials, except for the calendula, which lasted actually until it got down into the teens. It was still blooming, which was lovely. Or broccoli rabe. I've got some bok choy. I've got some cabbage and Brussels sprouts, purple sprouting broccoli. So these are all of the plants that are overwintering, or at least I'm trying to overwinter them in the garden, including the garlic bulbs that I planted in the fall and the spring bulbs that will hopefully flower in the spring. So let's move on to the spring. So here we are in April, and in April I would like to have some peas. The carrots might not be out yet that I overwintered, and the broccoli rabe will hopefully be still sprouting. I'd like to plant some fava beans on the perimeter of the celery bed, where later I'll plant tomatoes. And I'd like to plant the onions here and also in the center of this bed here. By the early spring, I would like to get some potatoes in and some carrots along here as well. I've got garlic here. And I'd also like to get some sweet peas in. Those get planted out pretty early. And hopefully my spring bulbs will be blooming. So that is so far what I have planned out for the spring. Let's take a look at the summer. Here's July. If you notice, I do have some holes because I'm trying to decide what I'd like to plant here, whether it'll be carrots, beets, whatever. But this is where I'd like to plant the tomatoes, where those fava beans were that I just showed you in April. And also by the summer, I will have planted out some more potatoes. And this is something new that I'm trying this year. And although I don't really have too much room to expand the garden, I've decided I'm going to plant my zucchini here in grow bags. This is like a dead space in the garden. And I'm trying something new this year. I'm going to be growing sweet potatoes. And I've been intimidated in the past because I know that it takes a considerable long growing season to grow sweet potatoes successfully. But my son and my mother both really, really want me to grow sweet potatoes this year. It was a request, and give them a try. I'm also going to try corn again. I did try it once before, and unfortunately the corn was really tiny, so I'm going to experiment with a couple of different varieties. And the idea here is to interplant the corn with the onions. I'm going to start the corn directly from seed in between the onions, with the idea being that by the time the onions are ready to remove from the garden, the corn is going to be starting to take off. I'm planting all of my peppers again in this row here, and the cucumbers in grow bags, and tomatoes again along this row, which always works out very nicely for me. This is a new place for me to try eggplant. I had previously grown it here in the past, but the last couple of years it didn't do well, so I'm trying a new space for it. And a row of carrots right after the garlic that I planted. And by July, I'm really not sure if that garlic will be ready to harvest or not. I haven't filled in much else of the flowers and that kind of stuff that I'm going to be probably picking up many of them at a garden sale that my local garden club has. And the other thing that I'm going to try again this year that worked out very well is I'm going to be planting sunflowers in this area right here. This is right up against the wall of the house, so it's really not a good idea to plant vegetables that close to the foundation. I think it's because of the chemicals that might leach. But sunflowers do very, very well here, and I'm going to do that again, as well as, even though it's not on this plan, in the side yard of my house, I'm going to be planting sunflowers again on the property line between me and my neighbor's house. They absolutely love sunflowers, and it would have worked last year, except for the guy that mows their lawn didn't realize that I had seedlings there and mowed everything over. It was, anyway, hopefully he won't do that again in 2024. Again, I'm going to have my herbs in the pots, and I'm probably going to be growing leafy greens again, mixed with some flowers in the other deck containers. That worked very, very well.
As did my wall of beans, which grew all the way up from the ground to the top of the deck railings.
All right, moving on to the fall. October is the month that we're supposed to get a first frost, but in the last 4 years, we have not had first frost by October. So I'm expecting that the cucumber and the tomatoes and the eggplant and all of that will still be ripening. And I'm not sure what I'm going to put here, and I'm not sure what I'm going to put here. And I'm leaving that purposely blank for now. Also, I don't have anything here yet for October, but I'm assuming that my fall crops will go in here. That's kind of the plan. Listen, I just wanted to mention that I don't have any kind of affiliation with the Farmer's Almanac or the Garden Planner. I just actually use it, and I thought it might be helpful for you to take a look as well. You can either try it for free. It says it's a free 7-day trial, ample time to plan your dream garden. And it is. You could do it in 7 days. Or you can subscribe. Like I said, it's around $30. And I'm already pre-filled my information, but it will have asked you when you get to this point, like your zip code, because they want to know what zone you're in. That kind of thing. I don't think you have to put in your credit card information. And I called this the Backyard 2024. This is a blank slate, and this is basically what it takes you to. And you've got your plants, you've got your garden objects, outline shapes if you want, or text if you want to add text to it. Pretty long list of plants, and I have to say, of the different programs that I tried using before, none of them had such an extensive list as this Farmer's Almanac one. And then you've got your shapes, all different kinds of shapes. It's got, you can, basically add grow bag containers, raised beds, pathways, even the compost pile or bin if you've got one, even chicken coops and that kind of thing. But when I first started the first time, I just used rough estimates of my beds, and you click and then you click into the chart. And I'm just doing a really rough sketch of what my backyard looks like right now. I went back, I guess, in the second year, and I did the exact measurements. So you can click on it and then you put in the exact measurements of those raised beds if you want. But a rough estimate is fine too. It gives you a good idea. So this is all months of everything that I've put in so far. I wanted to show you a couple of things that are really, really cool about this software program. You can click and drag your plants. Say I want to have some carrots on my patio. Okay. But then you click on it and it tells you all this information here. And you can put in your variety. Although I warn you, if you do change your variety after you've put plant notes in, copy and paste these into the new window that's going to pop up. But anyway, it gives you planting time suggestions, harvest suggestions. If you were to sow indoors, then there would be a blue bar giving you the time range that you could sow them indoors. And coolest part, I think, in a lot of ways, is that it gives you planting instructions. It tells you companions that would benefit the plant. So if you were to plant these chives or cilantro next to them, that would help them apparently. And just planting tips. And then it gives you suggestions on varieties. You can actually record journal information about your carrots and notes. So my notes are that in 2024, I'm overwintering undercover some that I scatter casted from in summer 2023. That helps keep me pretty organized. If you go up to plant list and click on it, it's going to give you a list of everything that is in your garden in 2024. And it gives you how many are either growing or you need to plant. Like apparently I want a lot of alyssum next year, so I'm going to be have to plant 21 plants. Gives me a good idea on how many seeds I have to start, right? And then it tells you when to sow them indoors, when to put them outdoors, and then when you can see them, in the case of a flower, instead of harvesting, when you can see them bloom. And then it's got the section here with all of your plant notes. And you can also hit this little notebook looking thing for more information. So this is another really cool thing about this program, is that you can specify in-ground dates. So if you check that box and you say, no, I'm not planting that until May, and then they will die by our first frost in October and November. I'm going to put November because it was November the last couple of years in a row. Then what happens is when you go back and you click it,
It'll only be visible for the months that you specified, May through November. And since this is April, the green beans are no longer there.
And then there's a journal that you can make a note of when you planted something, when you watered it, certain other notes like weeding, fertilizing, harvesting. Just a quick note personally about the garden planner's timing schedule. I found over the last couple of years that I really need to get my seedlings started a lot earlier than they recommend. And I think mainly because if I don't plant something out that's like a little bit taller than most people, when they transplant their seedlings, their heads get eaten off by numerous garden visitors, rabbits, squirrels, groundhogs, so chipmunks now. So over the years, I've been keeping record of when I do that, and I'm going to go over my timing planning in a future video. So please subscribe so that when that one comes out, you can watch that one too. So that's the garden plan for 2024. So far, I'm leaving room enough for myself to have some changes and to also have some, you know, new ideas and places to put things that I might not have thought about. I've sketched out many years in a row, you know, on paper and colored pencils and stuff like that, which can be very rewarding and very fun. But what I like about this is that I can add to it. I can make notes and update them. Not to mention all of the wonderful information about the plants, companion planting, season extending, all of that stuff really makes it very, very helpful to me. There's a big drawback I find. I don't know when they're going to fix it, but they might. I don't know if they will. And that is, it's really not good on your phone. And I really wish that when I'm out in the garden and something occurs to me, I could just kind of write it in at the moment. I know that this is adaptable to iPads and that kind of thing, but I don't have one. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope your garden planning is going well for 2024, and I hope you're excited about the growing season. I know I am, especially when we are in the dead of winter right now. And if you like this video, please give it a like. And I hope you subscribe and see some of the other videos that I have coming out. And from the Ladies Garden and Home, enjoy your gardening journey in 2024. Bye.